The House chamber had emptied hours ago, but the echo of debate still lingered in the air. At 2:17 a.m., janitors discovered Congressman Richard Hanover slumped across his desk, motionless. A neat hole in his chest told the story better than words could. He had been executed inside the very walls of democracy. Detective Miles Corrigan arrived before sunrise. Hanover's office smelled faintly of gunpowder, though no weapon was left behind. The blinds were drawn, the locks untouched. Whoever killed him had walked through the corridors like they belonged there. On Hanover's desk sat a draft bill marked with red edits. Corrigan scanned it, frowning. Buried deep in legal jargon was a clause, hidden, almost invisible, that would have rerouted billions in defense contracts. A single stroke of a pen could decide who became rich, who stayed poor, and who stayed silent. Hanover hadn't been silent. His colleagues said he was preparing to expose the amendment on the House floor, but now his voice had been cut off. Corrigan examined the suspects orbiting Hanover's world. Congresswoman Denise Rourke, Hanover's fiercest opponent, whose donors stood to profit if the amendment vanished. She claimed to have been in New York that night, but her staff's timeline was riddled with gaps. Grant Mallory, Hanover's longtime aide, loyal for years, until Hanover discovered Mallory had ties to the very contractors lobbying for the bill. General Wade Fletcher, retired military, now consultant. He had met Hanover the night before, pressing hard for his support. His boots carried power, and his handshake carried menace. The cameras in the corridor outside Hanover's office had been offline for maintenance, a pattern Corrigan had seen before. Inside jobs always left that calling card, but it was the scrap of paper stuffed into Hanover's jacket that twisted the knife. In hurried ink, barely legible, "If I fall, look to the vote." Corrigan's mind churned. The vote was scheduled for the following day. Hanover's absence would tip the balance. One seat short, one bill passed. His death wasn't just murder, it was strategy. As the sun crept across the Capitol dome, Corrigan stood in Hanover's office, the silence pressing in. He knew the killer wasn't finished. The vote would go forward, the amendment would pass, and billions would vanish into the pockets of men who never had to pull the trigger themselves. And if he pushed too hard, Corrigan suspected, the next body slumped over a desk might be his own. The clock ticked, the vote loomed, and somewhere in the shadows of the Capitol, the murderer waited, smiling at the chaos they had purchased with a single bullet.